Okay, so orthographic projection. Now, this is an introduction into how we actually organize the different views of an orthographic into an orthographic system. Okay? Now, as we discussed previously, we organize our views according to first angle projection. And I am going to go through an example of that now today with this doghouse. So you can see the doghouse, and you can see the image above shows a doghouse. The pictorial view on the right shows the measurements of the doghouse. Given the information, draw an orthographic projection of the doghouse to contain as follows. 1. A front elevation in the direction of arrow A. 2. An end view in the direction of arrow B. And 3. A plan view in the direction of arrow C. So if we relate back to our previous lesson on orthographic projection, where we conceptualized the different views based on our vertical plane, horizontal plane, and so on, the front view, the front elevation view, is looking directly in at the front there, as you can see with the door. The end view is looking directly in at the end, where you have the window. And the plan view is when you're up in the helicopter looking down on top of the roof. So what we're going to do here, firstly, is we're going to figure out where we need to position this on our page, okay? Because we're going to have 3 views all connected, okay? Those 3 views we just talked about. So essentially we're turning this 3D information into 2D information, and very important for areas related to construction and to architecture and so on, especially when you're coming to buildings and that. And not that we'll always be drawing buildings, but it is an example that we can relate to very, very easily, as we did in our previous little orthographic survey project that you did. Now, so we're going to make a start on the question. So we'll have a little look here now at the screen, and we will just move that out of the way. Okay, so the question in total was 100 millimeters tall. Okay, so, and I'll constantly jump back and forward to the question. Okay, so you can see here the measurements. As I look in at the front, I have 30, 40, 30 in terms of width, and in height I have 50, 10, and then the height of the roof from the, let's say, the gutter up to the ridge is another 40. So 50 and 10 is 60, and another 40 would be 100. Okay? And what we want to focus on is we want to draw the outline of the view from arrow A first. Okay, and that's our front elevation. So, but before we do that, what we need to do is we need to draw an XY line. So for the XY line, we always come down maybe 10 mil more than the height of the object. So as I said, the height of the object was 100. So from the bottom line of my title box, I will come down 110, which is 11 on your set square. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a nice clear line across the page. This line can be heavy. Okay? We don't have to draw it all the way across. I might just draw it that far there. Now, immediately I'm going to write X and Y. Okay? So I came down 110. Why? Well, the height of the object's 100. I came down 110 because I wanted to leave an extra 10 mil of a gap. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do to position this front elevation is I am now going to mark in a specific distance from the side border of the page on the XY line. And I'm going to mark in 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters. And why am I doing that? Well, we just want to leave a nice neat gap between the drawing and the edge of the page. We could start it at the very edge here if we wanted to, but I think it would be much neater, more presentable to come in a certain distance just so we can nicely position our drawing on the page. So with that in mind, we call that our start point there. We'll call that point 0. Okay? So 0 right there. Now, if we look back to the question here very, very quickly, we will see that we're standing here, position A. The width of the object is 30 plus 40 plus 30. So that's going to be marked on as follows. So 30, 40, 30, that's 100. Okay? So when I mark that on, from point 0, that little mark there. I'm going to mark 30. Then I'm going to add 40 to that, which gives me 70. And add the other 30, which gives me 100. So now I have the width marked with the measurements that are there. 30, 40, 30. And you'll notice as I go through this process, I am not focusing on drawing the object. I am only focusing on the dimensions of the object, and I will create an outline for each view first. Now, so I have that width there, 100. Okay, and it's 30, 40, 30. We don't write the dimensions in unless we're requested to do so. So, for example, you might see, 30, row 40, 30. I'm not going to do that. We don't normally do it, and we don't draw in the dimension lines unless we're asked to do it. Okay? And we are at times, but not now today. So now we're going to look back to the question again. Okay? So we'll have a look here, and we'll see, let's look at the height. So 50, 10, and then 40. Okay? That 40 is just positioned back there because it's a little clearer to see it. Okay? So 50, 10, and 40. So I'll go back in here. And what I'm going to do is from point 0, line up my set square. Like so, at the start point. And I am going to mark up a very light line. 50, 10, and 40. So if we add that up, that's 100, isn't it? So I'll draw a very light line up, 100 millimeters long. This is light, okay? And I will mark out my 50, my 10, and my 40, okay? And you can see that there. What I'm going to do is I am now going to go to the point at the other end of the view that I'm creating, and I'm going to draw a straight line up, 100 millimeters. Okay, and then I am going to bring each of the points that I have here using the T-square, bringing it across. Very important that we're using the T-square and the set square together doing this as neatly as we can. Okay, now the 2 points on the XY line here, I'm going to bring them straight up. Again, just keep them light. Okay, these are all light construction lines. Now, so that is elevation. Now you're going, well, that doesn't exactly look like the doghouse. It doesn't at the moment, but it will soon. Okay, so that's the elevation, the front elevation, looking in from direction of arrow A. Now, I want to go to my end view now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a gap between the elevation and the end view of 10 millimeters. Okay, 10 millimeters. So leave a gap, 10 millimeters, and then we're going to go back and look at the question, and we're going to have a look at arrow B. So when I look in from arrow B, I see 25, 30, and 25. So that's 25, 30, 55, and 25, that's 80. So the end view is 80 wide. So I'm just going to focus on these 3 measurements here, 25, 30, and 25. So I'll go back in here, and I'll go 25, 30, and 25. Like so. Okay? So I had the 10 mil gap, and then I did my 25, my 30, and my 25 as visible from the arrow B. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I am going to go back and have a look at the question, and I'm going to see the measurements here. 20, 30, 10, 40. And of course, when you add those up, they equal 100. Just the same as the elevation, because the end view is just another elevation. So the object can't be any smaller or any taller. It's going to be the same height. Okay? So we just have some different measurements to note, but what we will mark first is the main measurement, which is 100 millimeters. Okay? Which is the height. Okay? And we'll do that from the other line there as well. I'll just have to shorten my set square down there. Like so. Okay? And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the point across from the top, the line across from the top of the elevation, right across into the end view, like so. Can you see that? Extending it all the way across. Now what I want to do is I want to go back there and I want to check those measurements once more. The ones I mark up the side. 20, 30, 10, and 40. So, 20. We'll mark a dot here. So this is the line at the side of the end view. 20, 30, 10 and 40. And of course the 20 we can draw straight across like so. Okay. And then the 30 then, up from the 20, lines up with the 50 from the previous view, so we can continue that straight across. And likewise, the 10 mil, we can extend that straight across from the elevation as well. Okay? Now, we'll also take the two bottom points here now, and I'll just extend them up again. And all this is very, very light. So what I have here now is the outline for my end view. And I think I should add in that that's, you know, A, when we're looking back at the views in the question, and that's B. Okay, now, what I want to do is I want to use the information from both of these views, alright, and you're going, well, that looks all the one. Okay, so maybe what we'll do before we do the plan view is we'll heavy in what we need to heavy in. So, when we look at the dog shed from the front, we'll see this is the door. Okay. So all I'm doing now is I'm heavying in the lines that I need to heavy in. Okay. And then this will be the line for the gutter. And this will be the line for the ridge. Okay, like so. Apologies, my pen is failing me a little bit. And then we'll have heavy line at the side. Heavy line at the side. Like so. Okay. So that's the view of the doghouse when we look in from the arrow A. You see the door, you see the wall, we see the roof. Okay? From that position. Now we'll do B. So let's jump back to the visualizer. We'll focus on the window. Okay, so the window here, because we did all our measurements correctly, the window just is there for us now to be heavied in. So I'll heavy in the window. And of course the window is the same height as the door, and we had all the measurements projected at the correct heights and so on. And then we have the walls are heavy up as far as here, like so. And then we're going to have the angled part of the roof visible from B. Okay? So when we look in here, we'll see this 45 degrees, 45 degrees. Or you can come in halfway on the top line in your end view. So I could measure in halfway here. The width is 80, so I could measure in 40 and find the point there. Or I can get my 45 degree set square. Alright, from the point here, draw a 45 degree line to hit the top line, like so. And then do the same from the other side. Like so. Okay, now I have the end view of the house created. And that is looking in from the arrow B. Now finally, okay, what we want to do is form the plan view looking down from the arrow C. So we'll have a look at that. What I do, now there are 4 different ways to do your measurements here to transfer them from elevation and end view into your plan view. I'm going to show you this way first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my set square on my T-square with the side of the elevation. So this line here of the elevation. Okay? And I'm going to drop a line down, straight down. Don't worry about the length of it, just draw it lightly. Okay? A little bit of a gap in the line there, I'll fill that up. Now, what I want to do there now is from the end view position, I want to project each point on the XY line down at 45 degrees. So I'll take this point on the XY line, 45 degrees. Okay? And it's really important that this is 45 degrees, so you really need to use your set square and T-square together. And make sure you're using the right set square. Okay? Again, I have this line here, 45 degrees. We can only project the 45 degree lines from points that are on the XY line. Like if I went to the window here and projected a point from the window down at 45 degrees, that would be wrong. The points for that window are contained on the line that got dropped down to the XY line. And then you bring it. For example, we'll take a look at this roof here. We'll just put it in a different colour here. The point of the roof as we found at the top, we can drop that down to the XY line, like so. Okay? And then we can bring that point where it hits the XY line at 45 degrees into the plan view. Okay? And then I can bring the other side of my elevation down, like so. Again, just nice and light, everything nice and light. And then each of the points where they hit that line coming down, we bring them straight across. So bring that across. Again, I probably have to go a little heavier. There. I'll keep the same colour on this one. There. And there. Okay, now, I've brought all of these lines, and what they've given me is the view looking down on top. And you might go, well, how is that? Well, you're going to see here now. Okay. Okay, that if we were in the helicopter, looking down on top of the building, and then that center line at the top, okay, and for the sake of it, I'm also going to bring down the width of the door, even though we can't see the door and we can't see the window, alright, from looking down on top, because what we are looking down here at is we are seeing, we are seeing the top surface here, which is just going to be all the slates or roof tiles. That's all we see there on the doghouse at the moment, okay, when we look in plan view. So, if I jump back here, that's essentially the view we've got. Okay, the very top of the ridge line and the two roof surfaces as they're kind of sloping down. That's the view from the helicopter. If we had that door going into the building or sticking out, we would then use those projection lines, and likewise for the window, if we had it sticking out a little bit or in a bit, we would be drawing a detail there. But we actually don't need to use those lines that we have drawn. Apologies about that, sorry. That these lines for the door and the window, we don't need to do any further detail with them in the plan view because they don't stick out. They're just in line with the walls that we have. Okay? So, once you have that done then, you just, if you can apply a bit of colour if you want to denote the different surfaces or whatever. I do like to colour views in, you know me in colours. So let's say I just take a little bit of yellow there for the end view and keeping it nice and light. Okay, and I'm only doing the kind of border lines there just to highlight features that are there for like so. Maybe a bit of orange for the front wall. Okay, like so. So, and then for the roof then, we'll have a different colour again. We might go for a little bit of a pink or something like that. Okay? So let's say we go with that for the roof. And you notice the way we've only done 3 views in this orthographic. You can do anything up to 6 views of standard views of front, back, sides, top, bottom, and so on. But for us today, we're only focusing on 3 views. All right, and normally that's the case. And you can see here in my drawing that I have the 3 views: front elevation, end view, and of course the plan view. And that's view C. Okay. If we needed further views, another end view, we could put it on this side, or if we needed a view underneath the object, we put it on top, and so on. And we'd be able to organize all views that way. But this is it for today. Nice, simple. I suppose I might just add a tiny bit of colour to the door there. Obviously, we just want the door to stand out a little bit there. And the window then as well, We'll add a little bit of colour to the window there. Okay. And that is an orthographic projection. You can see now I have my elevation, my end view, my plan view, transferred points at 45 degrees, okay, from the XY line here of the end view, right down into the plan view, brought the points down, and you can see how everything is now connected. It's all one system. So this is your orthographic system, and this is the first angle system that we use. Okay, lads, thanks very much, and enjoy.